Catherine and Jules began their summer by setting off on the Santiago way. She was observant, fascinated by the little things. She observed Jules's smile, his hand brushing against hers, his shy gaze. Jules, however, was a history lover. He contemplated bridges, towers, and symbolic statues. When they arrived in Betanzos, Jules was drawn to its art and history. And he persuaded Catherine that the Santiago way could wait a while. Meanwhile, Catherine, what would Catherine do? Jules sought to encourage in Catherine a love for history, and he decided to start with the most symbolic monuments. But she was uninterested in visiting churches. In fact, she felt quite the opposite to Jules. Being surrounded by sarcophagi, sepulchres, tombs, and places inhabited by the dead, she felt an uncontrollable urge to laugh. Jules could not tolerate Catherine's laughing, and Catherine would not tolerate that Jules could not tolerate her laughing. She became angry and left, determined to make changes. One of life's great pleasures for a local from Betanzos might be a slice of cake, a cup of coffee and a newspaper. That day, Shello did not know that suddenly a stranger would sit at his table and eat his delicious slice of cake. If that stranger had not been Catherine, Shello would surely have reacted differently. And if Catherine hadn't been Catherine, Jules would surely have walked away. To compensate Shello, Jules decided to invite him to lunch. And if there is something that a local from Betanzos never refuses, it is a good local wine and a succulent Spanish omelette. Shello is a great believer in local hospitality and shares the wine generously between himself and Catherine, deliberately forgetting Jules. But Jules deftly returns the snub. There is only one winner in the game of love, and usually it's the other man. While Jules attended a course on wood engraving, Catherine got herself ready for the first big celebration of the summer. For 3 days, Betanzos would travel back to medieval times. A part of the history of the city would come back to life. 3 days of medieval life. Music, performances, games, and everyone must dress up. Shello dressed up as a peasant, but Catherine dreamed of a knight who was noble and irresistible to her. Who can make a woman happier, he who woos her or he who only watches? Perhaps both of them. Shello was clever and hungry, and he thought up a way to seduce Catherine while Jules was attending his course. And instead of opening up his heart to her, he decided to proudly show her Betanzos. They strolled through the old town. They discovered hidden treasures. They marveled at the surrounding countryside. Shello was a perfect host and told her of his wonderful city. Shello believes that history helps us to understand who we are, resulting in a fantasy, talent, art, music, and above all, creativity. Catherine loved this Betanzos that Shello described to her. It was a different Betanzos to the one she had shared with Jules. The hours that the disciplined and meticulous Jules dedicated to wood engraving were hours that he wasn't spending with the carefree and starry-eyed Catherine. When Jules finished the course, he wanted to continue along the Santiago way, but Catherine wanted to experience the night of the balloon in Betanzos. Jules, for the first time since they had been together, realized that something had changed. Now Catherine wanted to have her own adventure. And it was Shello and Jules chasing after her. Nobody really knows what happens inside another person. All endings are written on stones or in the memories of trees. In Betanzos, endings are written on a paper balloon that, on the night of Saint Roque, is cast into the air as a good omen. Shello spoke of Catherine and described gestures, glances and postures which were unlike those that Jules saw. She was no longer the same woman. She was more radiant, more beautiful. If two people were to make the same wish, surely it would be granted to the person who wished it more. Is it possible to share a wish? Shello wishes for Catherine. Jules wishes for Catherine. But what does Catherine really wish for?